Greetings. Welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us. Jackie McAuley is a Northern Irish guitarist, keyboard player, songwriter, record producer, and author. Jackie gained notoriety playing in the blues rock band Them with Van Morrison and the psych folk duo Trader Horne. After playing on the first couple of Them albums in the mid-60s, Jackie formed the Belfast Gypsies, releasing an album in 1967. He then teamed up with vocalist and original founding member of Fairport Convention, Judy Dyble, to form the psych folk duo Trader Horne. They released the album Morning Way in 1970. In subsequent years, Mr. McAuley has worked with artists such as Rick Wakeman, Lonnie Donegan, and Viv Stanshall of the Bonzo dog band. The bands Schooners Rig, Mouth, and the Harbour band have all benefited from Jackie's playing and/or production work. Jackie's memoir, Sideman, was published in 2019. Let's not forget the many solo albums Mr. McAuley has released, with his latest, the Cherryvale Files, coming out in 2020. And yes, my guest is still performing live and working on a new album as we speak. Well, welcome, Jackie.
Hiya.
Thank you for joining me and taking time out to do this. Well,
Thank you for that nice introduction. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Well, take us back to the beginning. Talk about where you were born.
I was born. Basically, like I said here, and I could just read you my book. Which is all, it's not a biography, which means it's all about me.
Right.
That type of thing. Right.
I
was born in a city called Derry in the north of Ireland. I was born actually on the road because my parents were musicians. They were gigging, and I arrived a little bit early, so I think some farmhouse outside the city of Derry. I was where I was born. I've never been there. I don't even know what it's called. And in fact, when I got my first passport, my birth certificate, my mother couldn't remember the name of the village, so we actually got the wrong name of the village where I was born, and that actually went on to this very day. It's on my passport where I was born, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Is that right?
So, yeah, not only that, when I got my passport, when I got my birth certificate replacement, it had my grandfather's name on it. So my grandfather's name is in the middle of my name. So it gives me a long pile of names. Anyway, that's where I was born, Derry. And I went to school in Belfast.
So your mother didn't take time out. She knew she was pregnant, and so she was still playing live, gigging.
Well, she already had two kids. There were two before me.
Okay.
My brother Noah, my brother Pat, and they were like 1 year ahead, 2 years ahead. Okay. So so my mother was quite well used to it. But she had a big family. Her sisters lived in the town of Donegan, so my kids were very toddlers, and she had gigs to do. She would leave them with her sisters in Donegal town, and go off to the gigs. When she took me, because I was just born, so for my first couple of years, I spent on the road with my mum and dad. They were traveling, all around Dallas. In those days, there weren't very many gigs or venues, so we had traveling shows. I mean, probably the same thing. Old American had maybe medicine shows, whatever they had, and then where they had acrobats, and they traveled from town to town. Well, it was the same type of thing. And I spent a couple of my years of my life basically in a shoebox on the side of the stage. I mind these messages, don't worry about that. In a shoebox on the side of the stage. And that was my introduction. And I basically to music as well, because from the very minute I was born, I was hearing music.
Yes, yeah. Wow. Well, can
Yeah.
you recall fast forwarding a few years, one of the first albums or singles that you bought that you got?
And my mum got.
Yeah, either your parents got for you or that
No,
you bought.
no. We didn't have. They learned a lot from. See, my dad also played a lot of Irish traditional music on the accordion. My mum
Okay.
sang, played piano, and comprehend. But the song that she would have learned, she had a perfect pitch,
Hmm.
and songs she would have learned. She'd also had like a almost photographic memory. She could remember this stuff. She learned all her songs direct from the radio, just
Oh,
hearing them once or twice. Oh, I like that. That's fantastic. Or she would hear a hit song and listen to it. She would have that song learned by
right
the
away.
evening.
Wow.
So that's where she got her stuff. In fact, there's a couple of things. She learned. She sang. One of her favorite singers was Ella Fitzgerald.
Okay.
One of my dad's favorite musicians was Django Reinhardt and Stephen Grappelli. And
Oh
Dad
yeah.
played a bit of violin as well. So they played old standard jazz stuff as well. All this stuff they would have learned off radios and cinema, even movies and stuff.
Hmm.
They were just 100% musicians. You know?
Yeah.
In fact,
Wow.
I remember we were making this album at the moment, myself and Rod Demick, a friend of mine. We're making this album and we're just digging up some old stuff that we want to record. And I remembered one old song. It was called Frankie and Johnny. It's an old standard uh, country white country bluesy song.
Yeah.
Uh, it's called Frankie and Johnny. And I remember when the first time I heard that was my mum singing it and mother singing that song. And I always remembered the beginning of it. And I asked her once, what's the rest of the words? She says, I can't remember them, but sometimes when you're singing like that, you make them up as you go along sometimes. And you can, if you're stuck there and you're singing on stage and you're singing that, and you forget the next verse, and you can actually make up words instantly, and
Yeah.
bluff your way through it.
Love your way.
So
Right.
I remember that. So I thought I'm going to record that, and I'm going to make up what I remember. I'm not going to go and
Yeah.
research what the original words were
Yeah.
because I think it's classified as a traditional tune now. It's so old,
Yeah.
um, and I don't know what they're. So anyway, uh, that's one thing I remember. My
That's
mom
all.
telling me that if
Well,
you can't make up,
yeah.
if you can't find the words, make them up. So that's what I'm
I think
doing.
I think it might have been a Jimmy Rogers original, maybe song.
Yeah, I
Oh,
probably agree with you. I don't know. It's hard to say.
yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
What about who am I thinking of? The singing brakeman. Who is the singing brakeman?
Uh,
Oh, I can't
oh, oh,
remember.
oh, I know who you're talking about.
The problem
Uh,
is my memory because of my age and now 77, so my age is playing up with my memory. I mean, I forget what I went into the other room for.
I was gonna. I've said that before. I'm getting there, so you can tell my age. Yeah, Jimmy Rogers was the singing brakeman. Yeah, Jimmy
Was
Rogers.
Jimmy Rogers? Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
excellent.
I do that. I'm doing that too. I'll go to the other room and I have to retrace my steps, like think backwards, like what was I looking for? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
it,
It's one of
and
the
it only
things that
gets better.
if I make an appointment with anyone and it's
Yeah.
important or whatever, I leave little notes
Ah,
everywhere,
there you
for myself. I leave it where I make my coffee. It'll be a note there.
right.
If I miss that, where the TV is, there'll be a note there, or whatever. So I don't forget.
Yeah.
And
So
I keep them anyway on my phone,
uh
appointments and whatever on my phone. But I always forget to check my phone.
yeah, that's funny.
It's just one of
Yeah.
those things. Comes with
Little
the territory,
it
as you
does.
guys said.
Little sticky notes where
Yeah.
well, what was the first instrument that you learned how to play?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's difficult to say. We had a family. There was 7 kids, and my parents. That's 9 of us.
Mhm.
And my mum and dad made the money by playing gigs, traveling, music.
Yeah.
And when we settled in Belfast, just gigs. And there was always musical instruments in the house. Always musical instruments. There was always guitar there, or a mandolin, or a banjo, or my dad had a couple of accordion. There was always something we could mess around with. My uncle lived next door. He had lap steels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So from however young I was, I can't remember. I would have messed around in 1 or 2 things.
Okay.
You know, I remember my brother when he went. My mother one day thought we're going to get a piano, and so they bought a piano and they had to bring it in to the back way of the house. We had no house was so small, but we got the piano in, and we sat there. And I would have been maybe around 10 years old or whatever. I always heard my mum sing. I never heard my mum play the piano, and she sat down there. First thing she played was a song called "Furelise."
Oh,
Beethoven.
beautiful.
Da
Yeah.
da 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 da. And everyone knows Furelise.
Yeah.
That was one of the first. I was just mesmerized. And then she played the stride piano stuff, you know, and singing
Yeah.
along like Frankie and Johnny. Frankie and Johnny were sweethearts. And I was completely mesmerized. None of it ever heard her mother playing the
Yeah.
piano like that. But I learned, she showed us, and I learned, um, show me how to play a scale. That was it. Boom, 2 hands. And I think that was the next thing I learned was to play a little bit of Furelise.
Yeah.
There was a song that I stole. It was a very similar um, melody I stole.
Mhm.
And I wrote a song called Jenny May.
Okay.
And that was actually used on a Netflix film, Stranger Things. That was the first song I ever wrote, but it was a take off to release that I learned from my mum.
Oh, it's a tape. Okay. Okay.
Would have been what the first one of or the first song that I'd ever written,
Yeah.
and I still get royalties for it.
Yeah.
And that's like so way over 60 years.
Yeah. I
Years
think
ago.
Stranger Things, whoever the producer was for that, whoever or the writers, they have good taste in music because there's been several songs, that they played on there that, it's like,
Oh
wow,
yeah.
yeah, really, really good taste. Really good to have to say that.
Yeah.
Well, well, what about early on? I guess maybe as a teenager, what were some of the musicians and artists that you were into?
I missed uh, see I my book really was about the rock and roll era, which
Hmm.
was really 20 years. It was um, the 60s and 70s basically.
Yeah.
That's where it started. But before that, the 50s, just after the Second World War, music changed because these things developed like teenagers developed. There were no teenagers before.
Yeah.
By that
Yeah.
I mean kids didn't have their own identity. You had
Right.
your dad's jacket and you behaved yourself until you were 19 or 20 years old,
Hmm.
and you were always. But these teenagers arrived, and they were supported by their parents because their parents had a terrible time during the war, and that's when rock and roll started. These
Right.
guys, I mean, the guys had these haircuts with quiffs coming out, like Gene Vincent, and
Yeah.
wearing leather trousers. Nobody wears leather trousers or
Uh-huh.
jeans what they're working with. They didn't wear jeans to go to a gig,
Right.
but you wore them to work. Ah, it was a completely different thing. So and there was also the rock and rollers. Only a few of them really crept into my life, which would have been a Little Richard, Fats Domino,
Uh,
and with Buddy Holly.
okay.
Um, a lot of them I didn't get off with. I never liked Elvis.
Okay.
he's a handsome looking guy, and he can speak with a twang in his voice, whatever. But no, if there was a Little Richard gig and an Elvis Presley gig, I'd go to the Little Richard gig every time. But but kids older than me lean more towards Elvis. So mine really started with my sort of journey. Really started at the beginning of the '60s. That would have been with the Beatles. And the Beatles were very much into Buddy Holly and, as I say, the same type of thing. And Little Richard and Paul McCartney, one of the greatest rock singers that I've heard. Seriously, he had a really high voice. He could get up there with Little Richard. They started at the tail end of that, before they really created their own identity in the '60s. And that took us on the journey. From then, everything just spread out from that. All the bands, whatever, even the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Earlier, when you were talking about the kids with the hairstyle and the leather jackets and that kind, were you talking about like the Teddy Boys and the
Teddy Boys? Yeah, I particularly wasn't interested in them, and a lot of the guys that I grew up with weren't really interested in them. Do you know what I mean? Right. So we were never. I was born in '46, so I would have been about 1 or 2 years just behind them, because that's all it took. That rock and roll thing of that era, Bill Haley and all those guys, that was only a couple of years. It wasn't that long before things changed in the '60s. When the '60s happened, everything became meteoric. It just flew.
Everything happening fast.
From Pink Floyd to Fleetwood Mac.
And all of that stuff. Well, did you go to any live shows, as a teenager? Go watch any bands when you were growing up?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, the thing about the '60s was it sort of diminished those guys from the '50s heroes. They were relegated down to maybe a division. Like, for instance, I went to Belfast. I remember Little Richard came to Belfast, playing a place called the Zoom Zoom. And I got in. I think I must have been about 16. I probably wouldn't have been allowed, but I was 6 foot tall. So I remember coming in. I didn't drink. I never drank. Coming in and just to see Little Richard. And it was a decent enough size hall, but it wasn't full. No way, it wasn't full. Plenty of room. And I saw the little stage where there was a piano. And I went up and I stood by the piano. I got in early and I didn't budge. I just stood there the whole time waiting for Little Richard to come on stage. And he came, and to get onto his piano, he had to pass me. He was that close. And as I stood there playing, I could reach out basically and touch him. I was that close to him. And that's where I stood. And I didn't budge until when he came off as well. You remember patting him on the shoulder going past? Fabulous, fabulous guy. Smiled the whole show. Smiled the whole show. He delivered the whole show. And that would have been the greatest gig for me at that time. Onto them.
He what an entertainer. He was.
Yeah. He was the king of rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, what about the first band that you were a part of?
The first band I was a part of was a band called the Blue Angels. But it only lasted a few gigs because I didn't want to play with. They were playing covers. They were playing covers, like some songs by Elvis. By then, I wanted to play R&B stuff. I wanted to play Watch Your Step. I wanted to play, Little Red Rooster. I had a harmonica and all that. And I didn't really want to play covers, Elvis Presley or any, Chubby Checker and all that stuff. No. No, so that was my first band. A couple of bands like that, but I never stayed with them. We played at home, myself and my brothers, at the back of our house when I was 15, 16. That's when we started our first bands, but it wasn't that much. But we my brother joined them when he was he's about 2 years older than me. He joined them. I think I was 17. That's when I joined.
Okay.
So
your brother first.
Kind of stuff we want, kind of music we wanted to do. We didn't want to do anything else, and there was no one else to play with. There were no other bands doing what we did or what them did. Nobody at that time. They, of course, when they seen the success, of course, that changed them. Then they became more involved in that kind of music. Writing their own material.
Right. You played keyboards with them.
I played keyboards. I wanted to play something different. I really wanted keyboards. My brother played drums. Yeah. I played drums. And when he came back, we got the keyboard on what's called the Never Never. My mum paid every week. She pays money towards this keyboard. It was a Farfisa organ.
Okay.
It was the same organ. I found out later that Rick Wright used in Pink Floyd in the early days, because he'd heard them records and he wanted that sound. Anyway, that's what I heard. But I wanted to get this organ. Okay, I'd only got the organ. We started a band called the Yaks in Belfast. A few names came in and out of the band, but my brother came home one day and said, "I want to take the organ with me because I want to be playing with them." This was the only organ in Belfast. Nobody else had one. So I said, "No problem. You take that, and I'll take your drums." And I played drums in a wee band. I can't even remember what recall that he was working with for a while, but I stopped because I didn't want to play that kind of music.
Yeah,
I wanted to play something more original, and stuck by my guns, I suppose. And a few months later, my brother played the drums, but he played the organ. He could play guitar as well. Played anything. At that, we're young enough. That's how he got the job, playing the organ. But when their drummer left the band, they thought, "We're in trouble now." And he says, "No, we're not, because I'm actually a drummer."
Okay.
Oh, okay. He played the drums, and they said, "Well, now we need an organist." So give the organ back to the organist. That was me. And I was only 17 at the time. I was only a provisional member until they got someone older or more professional. Okay. That was the deal. But after a couple of gigs, no, I stayed.
Well, did you join them on some of their live shows?
Them?
Yes, them.
Yeah, we played live.
Okay, you played with them on some of their live. Well, there were some pretty big name acts. Big name. I said there were some pretty big name acts that you guys played with.
Yeah, we played. When we did these gigs, there was other bands on the bill sometimes, like Spencer Tracy Band with Stevie Winwood, stuff like that. Tom Jones, a lot of guys. When we did Wembley, there were bands like the Kinks and the Rolling Stones. We shared the stage with. So yeah, played a lot. That's what bands did. Yeah.
Well, did you get to socialize at all with any of the other band members from other bands in between shows, or
did we socialize? We just, well, by the time when I joined the band, the Baby Please Don't Go had just been released, and it was used on a TV show. Okay. So we started getting more work. Okay. I mean, we couldn't work in Ireland. We only had a few places we could play. So I mean, we did socialize a couple of times. I used to go to a couple of parties or with Van, or we'd go anywhere and just socialize, hang out type of thing. Yeah, that's what I mean by socializing. Of course, when the Baby Please Don't Go took off, then we were just worked. We were just drilled. We worked. In fact, it killed the band. Band died young because we were just overworked. Right.
I wanted to mention, besides the hits, a couple of 3 songs that I liked, and I believe the songs that you played on as well. One More Time
Yeah.
and you just can't win.
I can't remember some of the songs that I played on the album.
Yeah,
I can't. All for Myself was the B-side of Here Comes the Night,
yeah,
and that was some of the songs in the album. Halfway through the album, I was replaced,
okay,
so
okay,
I don't know what was used and what wasn't used.
all
It
right,
was we were very much controlled,
okay.
you know, financially as well. So it wasn't a very good place, you know.
Well, one more track, and I wanted to see if you played on this one. Is that John Lee Hooker cover "Don't Look Back"? Did you play
No,
piano?
no, don't look back. That was Peter Barton's, a friend of mine.
Okay,
Peter
right,
died there a while back.
right.
That was Peter. Yeah, used my
Okay,
amplifier.
Camel.
He got a sound by I had a Selmer amplifier, a vibrato, put a mic
Uh,
in the piano, fed it through the amp.
okay, all right. Well, that was a nice piano on that anyway. Uh,
Yeah,
well, did you at the time that you were with them, could you see Van Morrison that he was going to really go places, really be successful in the music arena?
what the thing is, when I joined that band, I was still 17.
Okay.
By the time I was 18, I was out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I was out of it, and so I can't really make a judgment like that at that age.
Okay.
And with my experience, I'd be just lying to you if I even attempted it.
Okay.
No, I had no idea.
All right. That wasn't
You
fair
know,
then. Well, we'll talk about
I'd be just lying.
after leaving them. How about Paul Brady and the Cult?
Yeah, I went to Dublin. Yeah, I went to Dublin for a while. Met Paul and a few other guys. And I had a band called the Cult. We played with them, and that was that. I don't know how many months, 6 months or so. I was crashing out there, Paul, and I was sleeping on his floor or something. But I got a call back from my brother at the time to come back to England and rekindle the old Them band. You know, we had. They said they had a new manager, so I said, okay, I'll go back. I thought I was going to just play keyboards, but no, I was going to be fronting the band. So that was my first attempt, really. But we had a manager called Kim Fowley.
Yes, I was
Who,
going to ask you about. Right. Yes.
Kim Fowley was Kim Fowley was like 1967, full stop, and
Yeah.
didn't go anywhere after that. He was just a hippie, I think, all his life. And he was crazy man. He was crazy man. There he is.
I
Yeah,
picked this up not too long ago.
yeah.
Yeah, it's got these
Kim,
really obscure tracks that he produced, and
yeah. We wrote some
I don't.
stuff together.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
wrote some stuff together, and that's where I learned, would be just to keep banging it. It's just you keep writing that stuff down, and the lyrics became weird,
uh-huh.
and I learned a lot from him as well. But I liked him. He was as we, he was as crazy as a bag of spanners.
See, I've heard
Fantastic.
stories. I've
I
heard
believe
stories.
he passed away there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
But we had fun with him, and he got us a deal with Sonnet Records. That's
Okay.
how that was the Belfast Gypsies.
Yes, and it's the album is them, Belfast Gypsies. So was that kind of like
Again,
a combination of them?
no, that was manipulated again. When I returned to the band, I didn't want to have any association with them or the
Yeah,
name,
yeah,
because it was vitriolic. It wasn't a pleasing departure for many reasons, with personal reasons as well. I can't really go into, but I didn't want to carry on with any them connection at all, and
okay.
I never did. for 40 odd years, until I wouldn't have accepted this invitation 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I wouldn't have accepted it. And to be honest with you, it wouldn't have been the first. I have had so many. I've had letters, emails, phone calls, but I never relived a single second or moment of them existence, So
that's
that was
understandable. I mean, that's understandable.
that's sort of me, because I had my own career to pursue, but still, the reputation and the stigma or whatever just stuck with me. I could never get away from it,
Yeah.
And a dear friend told me, he said, "You're just going to have to live with it."
Yeah.
After a lifetime, I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll
Well,
live with it."
it gets easier year after year, doesn't it? The distance, the
Yeah,
time.
my fun times were not with them. The fun
Yeah.
times with Belfast Gypsies, and I said that lasted a particular time. I think what happened with the Belfast Gypsies when I was 67 was everything was really kicking off again in London.
Yeah.
And Peter Barnes actually joined the band when we were in Denmark. And he came over and he said, "It's all happening in London." There was a new band called Cream. As these bands and it's 10 years after, all these bands are all starting up, and it's very, very different. This is like really heavy stuff, man. So I had to get back. And that was what they call the British invasion, was it? Or the Great British Invasion, when all the British bands were going over to America.
Yeah.
It was a reversal of the American music. The bands coming over to the UK. Now tables were kind of turned.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get a piece of that. I wanted to get back to London. I wanted to go back as soon as possible. A couple of the guys agreed with me, and a couple of didn't. So that was a little problem. But there was no solving it, because that was the band. Some of the band taking two different directions for the first time.
Yeah.
I came back, and I've done a lot of things, worked with a lot of people. I had some great fun.
Yeah. Before moving on, do you recall any of the live shows? You guys must have put on quite the show with the Belfast Gypsies.
Oh, we did a lot of live shows. We did a lot of live shows. But we spent a year in Scandinavia.
Oh, okay.
Did a few live shows. Did one with Sonny and Cher. Had a great time with Cher. She was a very young, quiet girl. Probably the most beautiful looking girl you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Very, very, very pleasant. People like that, and you'd meet these people. Some are unpleasant as well. But that's the business. The business doesn't guarantee a certain type of person.
No.
When you move into show business, you take whatever baggage you got with you, and see how long you stay.
Very true. Well,
that doesn't actually automatically change you.
Oh, what do you attribute your popularity in Scandinavia? Belfast Gypsies.
It was okay. Yeah. Most of it would have been done because you were a UK band. Because there were a few UK bands there.
Yeah.
It'd be the same as an American band, Stray Dogs or whatever, coming to London and hanging out. PJ Proby lived in London. A lot of Americans lived in London and did the same gigs that we did.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All the blues guys as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that some of UK bands and musicians that were real popular in Holland, and they'd go back home and nobody knew who they were.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But I mean, the UK bands were fine, but American like Sonny Terry and Brian McGee and even Johnny Hooker, and Champion Jack Dupree that I met once or twice. They came over from America because nobody wanted to know who they were.
Yeah.
They were coming over and they were on TV. in the UK.
Yeah.
I keep saying it. They were on TV, and they weren't on TV back in the States.
No.
Then again, when I played with Lonnie. He had before I was in the band, Lonnie Donegan. He had hits in America. He had the Rock On and Line hit, which was a phenomenal hit. He had a few. He had Big Grand Coulee Dam and that kind of stuff. People thought he was American. He said he was telling me one day when we were playing in Nevada. He was telling me one day when he came. He said, "This is a song by a great American called Lead Belly." And I said, people just say, "Who's Lead Belly?"
Right.
I've never heard of him. And these would be like people who run venues and stuff. And you think they would know. But they didn't. That's the way it worked. And so they came to UK. But then we had guys from the UK and wee bands that weren't very famous in the UK. They'd go to Holland and make a good name.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one band that came from the UK called the Red Squares. And they played in Holland, they played in Denmark and so on, and they were phenomenal. They were huge, absolutely huge. But they wouldn't have got a gig in a pub in London.
Right.
So again, question that I don't know. Am I qualified to answer that one? I don't know. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
But it's true. It is true.
It is true. Well, moving forward slightly, I assume your memories of Trader Horne are a little more pleasant, a little nicer to relive.
Yeah, well, Trader Horne was again. That was another. That was an unplanned thing. It was accidental.
Oh, how'd that? Yeah, talk about that.
I was hanging out with a friend of mine called Pete Sears. Pete played. He was a multi-instrumentalist. It was like myself. You could play all these instruments: banjos, mandolins, guitars, percussion, harmonicas, whatever.
Jefferson Starship.
I missed that. Was that
Jefferson Starship? Wasn't that?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Myself and Pete. I think it was Pete introduced me to Judy.
Okay.
We made a piece of, let's put something together because we could do it, and there were openings that we could get gigs. So this is a good idea. And Pete, I think, told me about Judy. We met up with Judy, three of us. And this would be great, Judy fronting and whatever. And we met a guy who managed a band called Steamhammer. I can't remember his name. He managed us for a short period of time. It was great. He said, "Oh, this will be great." But then we never heard more from him after a few gigs. And Pete said, "I have to leave the band." He says, while he was with us, in fact, he had recorded an album with Rod Stewart.
Okay.
That I think Rod's first album, Pete played bass on that. But then he got offered a gig in LA. And I met him in Jefferson Starship.
Yeah.
I think it was Jefferson Starship.
Yeah.
And he got offered this gig. I went off there. And I thought, well, that's it. No, we can't do anything. It would be just me playing the guitar and Judy singing and whatever. Then his manager came up with these. He says, "I've got these gigs for you. Can we do them?" And we went and we did. I think we did a gig with supporting Pink Floyd.
Is that right?
In the early days, just the two of us, because we were unimposing. You say a guy and a girl, get the guitar, singing a few songs on and off, no bother. So we got a gig. Oh, sorry. Meanwhile, at that time, it was Fairport Convention. We're in a car crash.
Yes, that's right.
Fairport was the band that Judy was with before.
Yeah.
Car crash, and the young fella in drums was killed. Martin Lamb.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was killed, and it was dreadful. Anyway, they did. I think there was 2 fundraisers or memorial gigs, whatever, I can't remember, that they did. One was down South England. I think the other one was in the Roundhouse.
Okay.
And so we went on and supported. Well, we were on the bill. There was about 3 or 4 bands on that bill. And from there, we were just working all the time. We got an album deal from Dawn Records. And I said, right, we went in an album. So Judy and I said, what are we going to do? I said, well, I've only written one song. I've only written one song. We're going to have to get this album done.
Right.
And I penciled the time in for about a month down the line to go into the studio to record the album that I hadn't got, or we hadn't written. And so Judy had one, and Judy had two songs. No, she had one song.
Okay.
And another song that she had written with another guy. And that was it. I just had to get my head down, started making all these notes and writing songs. And then I will have to order all the equipment to come in, harpsichords, everything that I can play.
Yeah.
So I did all the instruments. Judy played piano stuff. And the album came out pretty all right. And in fact, a couple of years, about 3 or 4 years ago, it was re-released again for, I think, the 9th time. About 8 or 9 times that was re-released.
Yeah.
You know.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this too. It was a little bit of a different direction for you, going from R&B to psychedelic folk or folk music, more predominantly folk. Had you always enjoyed or had an affinity for folk music?
Well, yeah, I had. I think if you're a musician, you have an affinity with music general.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where it comes from; it's what you do with it. Well, obviously, what you're selling. If you're a blues band, you're selling that, or you're a folk band, or you're selling that. You're selling stuff as that. Now, after them and the Belfast Gypsies and the other bands that I played with, I mean, I played the band was a semi-jazz band, kind of jazzy kind of guys. I was playing a bit of flute as well at the time. But when thinking with Judy came up, was a bit of fun I was having with Pete when we brought Judy in. It was okay, a bit of fun. And then all of a sudden these gigs came in. Oh, it was good. Why not? I mean, we played the Albert Hall. We were booked to play support. What was his name? Oh my God, Richie Havens.
Richie Havens, yeah.
Yeah, we were booked to support Richie Havens in the Albert Hall. So I'll have to do that. So I had an album to do, or we done the album actually by the end. But they said get an album. So I got. Now what can I do with me and Judy? She's out of Fairport, and they do this and she got a very distinctive English voice.
Yeah.
Very, very, very English voice. She's not going to do R&B, She's not going to do blues. She's not going to. We do have to do what Fairport type of thing, or even take it more extreme. And that's what it. So I said, well, what do I do? Just walk away and say, I think I'll go back into the shadows. No, I took it on. I just took the deal on and did it. I didn't go out saying, this is what I'm going to do, everybody. It was something that was offered to me.
Yeah.
I had to take it, If it was a band with a drummer, bass player and a drummer, maybe a keyboard, whatever, and they said, I want to do an album, I would have done something else.
Yeah.
But you have to write the songs. I would have written different songs.
Yeah. Well, for viewers who are not aware, tell where the name Trader Horne came from.
Well, Trader Horne is not a fictional person. It's a real person, and I think it was a sea captain or something. He was a trader, and a friend of ours. We were looking. We didn't know what to call ourselves. We had a couple of gigs to do. I think it might have been the benefit gig for Fairport Convention. Can't remember, but we did. We had to come up with a name very, very quickly. And John Peel, who was a very famous DJ
right.
in London, England, he said Trader Horne, isn't it? He was brought up, I think, by foster family.
Okay.
I think it was foster. was fostered anyway. And there was a few other kids, and the woman's name looked after them was called Horne, Horne. And there's a nickname they called her Trader Horne.
That's what I read. There you
Yeah,
go.
they called her Trader Horne, and with an E.
Yeah.
So I thought, what a lovely story, and what a nice name.
Yeah.
So basically, that was it.
That's what
Somebody else picked the name for us, and we just agreed that it was nice.
Yeah. Well, John Peel was a real champion of your music too.
He was a champion of a lot of music. He was the first guy who really would play any punk music.
Right. Yes.
You wouldn't hear any
Yeah.
other radio stations. You wouldn't hear the Clash.
No.
You know what I mean? The Sex Pistols. And you wouldn't have heard those guys.
He was a pioneer. He really was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gave a lot of bands their start. Really did. I mean,
he didn't. He didn't. They had a lot of bands should be very thankful to him.
Yeah.
You know, he played the Undertones to bits. A band from Derry, where I was born.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Well, he got his start in Oklahoma City as a DJ. It was Oklahoma City.
Did he?
Yeah. And as John Ravenscroft, I think that's Raven. Yeah. That he went by. Yeah. So had a great career. Well, I wanted to mention, how's your memory of the songs on the Morning Way album?
Oh God, after Judy left, the band was on. We were under an enormous amount of pressure. There was only two of us, so and I had a car, so I did all the time, and we just drove, and it was a lot of pressure for Judy. She was a small girl, but she was tough as nuts. But she was still, a fragile female, and we just did so much work. She wanted time out, but she met a guy called Simon Stable, who was another DJ, and they decided to get married, and they decided they wanted to change their lifestyle completely. And she just said, "I have to leave," and so it was okay. So they brought in another girl to play with me. Her name was Saffron. Can't remember Saffron's second name. I can't remember. This is terrible.
That's all right. I mean,
she was a lovely singer.
Yeah.
But I said she was a very good singer. Very good singer. I said I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not Judy. It's not where we started. It's not like changing a member of the band. It's changing the whole one side of a band. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was kind of an arranged marriage I'm walking into.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
So I basically, if I was managed correctly, I would have done something else, and so would have Judy. But it was too tough.
Yeah.
It was just too tough.
Well, the album.
Sorry.
I said the album itself, released in 1970. I have quite a few. I love the psych folk, genre, and especially that time period. But I think it's one of the best, actually, of depicting of that genre. One of my favorites. I like almost every song on it. Seriously. So yeah. So that's what I was going to see if how your recollection was, and if I mention a few songs, if you could give me your input or the backstory, the inspiration maybe behind the songs, if you could. You mentioned earlier Jenny May. You mentioned Jenny May.
Yeah, Jenny May. It was the first song that I'd written, and the chord sequence is basically a steal from Fear Release.
Yeah,
it was stuck in my memory. I mean, the lyric is very simple. There's nothing in the lyric. Very simple.
but
But it was our standard.
great intricate guitar playing though. Great guitar
Yeah,
playing. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That one, that's what
yeah.
stands out to me. And children, how do you pronounce that? Of OARE.
OARE. You know,
Uh-huh.
I can't remember. I used to read a lot of science fantasy
Uh-huh.
books, like The Hobbit,
Uh-huh.
those books, the Tolkien books, and um, a couple of other authors I can't remember. But
Right.
Michael Moorcock was another author. I read a
Uh-huh.
lot of his books. Science fiction, science fantasy, those
Okay.
kind of things. So that's where that name came from, and the whole idea of it. Very, very imaginative and very introvert. You're looking deep inside something. You're not
Okay.
going in the outside world where other people can find out what you're talking about.
Right. Right.
So it was just a strange time, and I learned. I used some tricks that I had learned. What sounds right
Uh-huh.
is usually what is right.
Yeah.
What sounds like. You can get better word and not as good a word, but it sounds perfect in that line. And
Yes.
I'd
Right.
seen something. I watched the Get Back movie with the Beatles, and the
Uh-huh.
lads talking about songwriter, and I thought everything they said was exactly true.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they were talking about, Father McNamara, Father whatever, and blah blah. And they went through a lot of fathers until they got Mackenzie,
Uh-huh.
Father Mackenzie,
Uh-huh.
and yeah,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Well, back to that song, the melody on that Children of Ore,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
reminds me of We Three Kings.
yeah. It is.
The
We
Chris.
Three Kings is used as a link.
Okay.
That's used as a link in between verses. Da,
Okay.
da, 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 da.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that's what that was.
Well,
Moving.
I thought of writing a link,
Okay.
and for some reason that came up, and I thought I'm actually not going to get better than that.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I'm going to get better than that, so I just used it.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't know about a thing called plagiarism. I didn't know if that was plagiarism
Uh,
or was that a tribute
yeah.
to We Three Kings.
Right.
But I used that as a link because it just fitted.
Yeah.
Just worked
Yeah.
and it just fitted.
Yeah. I think the original is so old that there shouldn't have been any, copyright
Oh
or anything.
yeah, it's ancient. It's ancient. Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, another song, Three Rings for Elven Kings. That's a very nice track.
Yeah, that Three Rings for Elven Kings was from a Tolkien book.
Okay. All right.
Tolkien or Tolkien.
Yeah.
It was a line. It might have been a Hobbit. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay. That's a really nice track.
But that was the direction that was the direction we were going in, that science fantasy type of a thing.
Uh-huh. Well, the another track on there, the mixed up kind. I like the harpsichord on that one.
Yeah. Again, I have to think about these tracks again. I have to play it in my head to see what's about.
Okay. That's okay. That's it's been a few years, I know.
Yeah.
It-
I
it-
have to think of the whole song. If I'd known this before, I've never been asked to go through all the tracks of an album before,
That's why I
especially
prefaced
one
that.
that's especially one that's like what 50 years old, 52
Right.
years old.
That's why I
Like,
prefaced that before I asked you how your recollection was for
well, see,
that.
it's not too bad. It's not too bad, but I can't remember everything. I try,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, I was
But
going to
yeah,
ask you along the same lines, the music. Are you familiar with Loudest Whisper, the band Loudest Whisper?
no,
Oh, it was around the same. Well, they had an album in 1974, so a few years later. Irish band, progressive rock folk group, Loudest
yeah,
Whisper. You might check them up on YouTube and just kind of and see if you like it. The Children of Lear, Lir. Does that ring a
yeah,
bell? Okay,
no,
that was the name of their album, but it's really nice. It's really nice folk
yeah,
rock. type music. The loudest whisper. If you have a
Yeah,
few minutes.
yeah. There was a lot of that kind of music around at that time.
Yeah,
The Incredible String Band,
yeah, right, the Scottish band. Yeah.
one of my favorite.
Yes,
Well, there
yes,
was a Scottish guy in the band, but they weren't exactly Scottish.
yeah. Well, Better Than Today has a nice bossa nova beat. Do you remember
Yeah,
that one? Yeah, I like that was
yeah.
a little.
No, yeah, you like that one, to me, I never got off too much. I don't know why I did it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I did it, you know. But Here Comes the Rain was 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 uh was a single we did. So we
Right.
also did, apart from the album, we did a few singles.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Here Comes the Rain was used in some American movie called Humble Pie.
Ah, okay. I think I did read that. I read that.
Some never seen it. That was used as opening credits. So it just shows you these things go
Yeah.
way back in the past.
Well, I'll just mention my three more, real quickly then. The Mutant has a nice feel. I like the flute in that one. And
Yeah,
then the title track, Morning Way, is probably my favorite on the whole album.
yeah,
And on my
yeah.
CD, I had a bonus track, Goodbye Mercy Kelly, which I really
Goodbye,
like.
Goodbye, Mercy Kelly was a single or a B side of a single. I can't remember. That was the first thing we did. Um,
Yeah.
that would have been one of the earliest songs I'd written after Jenny May.
Okay.
Basically, it's about the village folk of a fictional village in my head in the county of Donegal in Ireland, some country village, and the people involved. They're like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I like
like
a lot of these re-releases of albums. And Cherry Red is a really good one, for re-releasing a lot of these older
but
albums.
Cherry Red, they've just re-released a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It must be about 3 years ago now. They re-released the Belfast Gypsies
Yeah. Right.
album. In fact, when they called me, this was just after Kim passed away.
Okay.
That everybody involved in the album had passed away, so I was left sole ownership of that album. And could I lease it to them? I said, okay, give me a little bit of money and you can release it. So they
Right.
gave me a little bit of money, and they have it for 5 years, I think.
Uh-huh.
And they have
Yeah.
it. They have all that stuff because people still, for I don't know, for the last few years, this thing of um, in movies,
Uh-huh.
retro, anything that's retro
Yeah.
is good to have,
Yeah.
clips or songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll find new movies come up with songs that are
Yeah. Yeah.
ancient, like way
Yeah.
back. So
Yeah.
I think they want to hold to that for that reason
Right.
in case something came up
Yeah.
again. I'm not doing
And
too
the,
bad. I've had a couple of songs that were used
yeah.
in the movies. So
Yeah. And a lot of rare records too. You got people hunting for those, in recent years, and then they'll be re-released on
yeah,
like Cherry at a label like that, and then it just kind of brings up a resurgence of interest, and so I'm
yeah,
sure you're really familiar with that. But yeah, I get a lot of my stuff from Cherry Red. They do a real good job, and the
yeah,
packaging and the liner notes and all that
brilliant.
good. Yeah, we'll talk. Fast forwarding a few years. When did you and Judy reform Trader Horne and play that one-off gig?
It was a one-off gig, yeah, in London. It was good, it was a sellout concert, and it
Hmm.
was very, very good.
Yeah, yeah,
We also did a festival that
yeah,
year, the Green Man Festival. But they were not like indications of getting back on the road again because that wasn't going to happen.
okay,
It was too difficult
yeah,
for us,
yeah,
and particularly Judy. She was not a well person for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they were good. They were very, very good
Yeah.
concerts. Nice,
Yeah.
nice to do.
Yeah. Did you hear from the
Nice to
fans
do.
at the concert? The fans that said that they had, followed your music for all those years, and they were, really into it and really appreciated your, reuniting in a way. Yeah, that was well. I wanted to one of your singles. I picked up on a various artist compilation, and I think it is also Cherry Red, I believe, put it out. Turning Green. If you
Yeah,
remember that song? Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
nice tickling of the ivories in the opening,
yeah,
and then the addition of the strings. The strings come in, and it
yeah.
gives you more of that fuller sound, and then the full band. And I love how the song builds.
It builds up. There's even the
Yeah.
girl backing singers in there.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was the producer Barry Murray. His idea. I had just had the song,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
wanted to build this up. Once it started, he wanted to build up. It's a fantastic production.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Very good, very, very good. Had a lot of hits on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I get still to this day get a lot of comments about
Yeah.
that song, and much
Yeah.
people love that song still.
Yeah.
And I said it was the producer, it was his baby, as he called it,
Uh,
what he wanted to do with it. He had
yeah.
this whole thing,
Yeah.
you know, of um, of this person, this calling up all these memories, and for some reason, he's in Times Square in
Uh-huh.
New York,
Um,
and all these dreams are coming at him and whatever. But yeah, it was a kind of originally sort of a fantasy thing, very very much on a guy with a guitar, acoustic guitar singing it.
uh-huh.
And once he got this piano player. I can't remember his name as well. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know some of the guys he was bringing in, and I played 3 chords, and he plays da 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 da. He plays this lovely strident, soft strident piano,
Yes. Yes.
and oh, it was good, and all the players,
Yeah.
and it was a very enjoyable album I worked on.
Yeah. I was
It
gonna
was my
say
first.
very layered production, and it's the melody stays in your head. It's got a great, especially
Yeah,
the chorus.
yeah.
It stays, it rings around in your for a long time. Well, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about this at all, or if you had any experiences directly. You may not want to with the IRA and the troubles. Did you
No,
have
I
personal experiences?
no, no, no.
Okay. Okay.
It
Um,
because it wouldn't. Even if I did, it wouldn't do much good or any help
yeah.
to be reliving them.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I think I go to Belfast quite a lot. I love it, city. All my friends, I mean, from both sides of the community,
Right. Right.
we are still very, very good friends. I mean, Rod and I from opposite sides in Belfast, and
Right.
we've been friends since before the Troubles.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. We're still pals.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
we,
why I,
we were lucky that we get out of it. We were When this was going on in Belfast, I would have been playing in America or Australia or
okay.
Germany or whatever,
Okay.
or coming back to live in London.
So you were removed from it. Okay. Okay.
We were all removed. My whole family removed.
Okay.
1969, they all moved.
All right. Right. Well, I wasn't looking for any blood and guts or gore or anything like that. I was just
Well, there is plenty, and there's plenty of other things, nice things as well.
right.
Um, Plenty of nice things, but
Okay.
we're bad times.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wanted to hear this because I've always been a big fan of Bonzo Dog Doodah Band.
Yeah,
In what
yes, sir.
capacity did you work with Viv Stanshall?
Uh, Viv was the nearest thing I was supposed to a genius that I've ever met. He was a genius.
Yeah.
I thought he was just phenomenal. He we would have a dinner party. We'd go to a dinner party, and he'd play a game at this dinner party. Bring out a dictionary this size. I open the dictionary, any page, okay? You'll see the abbreviations at the beginning, whether it's Italian, Latin, Greek, or German. Right? And you read this word, however it's written or spelled, I'm going to give a definition of this word.
Yeah.
And I never got one. And he got a single one. And he opened this book, found this word you could hardly pronounce. Where is it from? It says Germany. It's German-based word. And he would dissect it bit by bit, and he would give you the definition. Every single word I could find. This dictionary. I call that genius.
Yeah.
I'd call that pure genius.
Yeah.
But he was insane. He was crazy. Insane with drinking is. He was an alcoholic, chronic alcoholic. He couldn't leave home without bringing the drink with him unless he's going somewhere where there is drink.
Yeah.
You know, sad. But there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's another.
Not too much. As I say, I mean, I only did about four gigs within 5, maybe.
Okay.
That's all. And I got a whole chapter on my association with him.
Okay. Okay.
So if anybody's interested, it'll be
Yeah.
in the
Hold that
book.
up. Yeah. Yep. Sideman. There it is. There it is.
That's my book. And I don't even know if there is picture. And you're talking about the Troubles. There's a picture there.
Okay.
Of myself and a guy very, very, very much involved with Troubles. His name is Stephen Travers. He was in a band called the Miami Show Band.
Yes. How tragic that was.
Yeah. He's actually, there's a film on Netflix as well called the Miami Show Band Massacre.
Right. Yes, I've seen that.
He survived that.
Was he one that feigned to be dead? Was he one that laid down and acted like he was dead?
Well, he had been shot. He was dying. He was actually dying, and what's his name? The other guy. These are friends of mine.
Yeah.
Kevin and Kevin's brother. He hid under a bush.
Okay.
The guys were blown over a fence by the explosion.
Yeah. They
were blown over a ditch, rather. Blown over the ditch, and McAuley, I think, crawled under a bush and just stayed quiet. Yeah. And while they were looking for them, the guys on the ground, searching with searchlights, they just passed him.
Yeah.
And never saw him. And they found the other guys and just started killing them on the ground. And McAuley got up after a couple of hours, managed to flag somebody down and get the police out. They got a helicopter and took Stephen, that guy, off to hospital. And they saved his life, basically. He was read the last rites and everything. Or given his last rites. Sorry. And that's enough of the Troubles that I want to know about, but awful.
Yeah.
Dreadful. Not just a band, they were just gigging.
Exactly.
And no threat to anybody. But as I said before, it's all in this wonderful book. If any of your people want to
go ahead and tell us where it's available, where they can buy it.
Oh, you can buy it. You can buy the ebook. There's pictures of me with them and Van Morrison and stuff.
Yes. Yeah, Gloria.
Yeah, that was TV shows we did. You can buy this book through my website, jackiemccauley.com.
Okay. There you go.
Or you can buy the version off Amazon.
On Amazon.
The,
Okay.
yeah, you can buy the Kindle version of it is
I believe
on
it.
Amazon.
That's
But my book comes signed.
there you go. If you
Yeah,
want a signed copy.
yeah, yeah.
Well, here I wanted to put up another, see if you any memories here. This may be before you worked with any.
The Clodagh Dodgers?
Yes, this
No.
was this was from 1969 to 71, um, with the Kenny Young. Kenny Young was the producer or the songwriter on her.
Oh, Kenny
Clo-
Young. I know
yeah,
Kenny. Yeah.
yeah, Clodagh Rogers.
Wild Thing.
Clodagh Rogers. Yeah, yeah. So
Kenny Young. Didn't he write Wild Thing?
yeah, yes, yes. He was Fox. Fox was another one. Kenny
That's
Young.
right. Rod Demick was in Fox.
Yes, there you go.
The guy that I'm working with now. I'm
There's the
making an
connection.
album with now. I
Yeah,
think he was in that band Fox.
yeah, yeah. Well, talk about you and John Gustafson. Had you
Gotcha.
guys, yeah, had you guys been writing a lot of material together prior to Dear John?
We wrote only from a short period, about 2 years. We wrote quite a few songs, but we were very unlucky. We couldn't get them moved. Nobody was interested. And it's just when John got married, and we used to live on the next street to each other
Okay.
in the north of London, and he got married. And John took out a mortgage in a house in Croydon, which is way south, the other end of London. You know, a long time to get there. You know what I mean? It would take you
Yeah,
about an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there.
yeah,
So we were no longer able to sort of hang out together to write stuff. But he happened to meet the manager of Status Quo, and he recorded Dear John, one of our songs. Incidentally, that's just been recorded again by a guy called Dave Sutherland, and he's done an American Americana type version of it,
oh, okay.
which is absolutely excellent.
Really?
Very pedal steel guitar and everything on it.
Yeah. You said Dave
That's
Sutherland? Dave Sutherland?
Dave Sutherland as
Yeah,
well.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah,
Yep.
I will check
He
that out.
yeah, he he
Yeah, America.
recorded it a while ago, and he's does, I think he's done pretty well with it. But again, it's one of those that'll go up on the internet, and I suppose after about 20 or 30 million hits, I might get $100.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's sad. That part of the music industry is
Yeah, it's
very,
gone.
very depressing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It is. It really is. Well, I want to mention Schooners Rig, because I mentioned in the intro. Now that's your younger brother Brendan's band, right?
That's Brendan and Tony.
Uh-huh.
Brendan, yeah, Brendan, Tony, Pete, and Kevin.
Yeah,
Basically, we call over here Celtic rock
yeah,
kind of thing, which is Irish music using traditional rock instruments rather than traditional Irish music,
yeah,
Irish instruments. The guitar, bass, and drums
yeah,
rather than banjo and fiddle.
yeah.
So kind of Celtic rock thing, the lads. They did an album I produced for them.
Okay.
It was just for sale basically as they went
Uh,
around.
did
This
did you
was
play? Did you play
sorry,
on it? Did you
no,
play it?
no,
No, just produced. Okay,
no. This was
okay.
just for them. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Let them do their own thing.
Right, right.
And they have to. Brendan made his own album as well,
Yeah,
which is called McCartney's of Pennyburn. I
yes,
didn't play on that either as well, but he played all the instruments himself.
yeah.
And very, very, very good, excellent album.
That's isn't that the one that's historical, right? It's going back.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
McCartneys of Pennyburn
yeah.
would have been our grandparents,
Okay, okay. That's what I thought.
our
Yeah.
our great grandparents, sorry.
Okay.
And very interesting stories that they were well kind of to do people in Derry, but very different because they were Catholic. And
Yeah.
my great great granduncle was a justice of the peace.
Ah,
Apparently, the first in Ireland
is that
to
right?
be elected as a Catholic justice of the peace.
Uh-huh.
And they had a mill in Derry, which was very productive, and they had orchards and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I was actually going to write about that book, but I thought I have enough time in my life now.
I do like
That's
history. I
where my
do.
mother came from. Yeah,
Yes. Yes, our origins and exactly. I
yeah,
I I enjoy that. I enjoy that. Yeah.
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 So yeah, so the Schooners Rig thing was basically the pub band,
Mm-hmm.
pub Celtic rock band, did all the Irish clubs and pubs, and they were very good.
Yeah.
But by then, things started becoming difficult.
Yeah.
Um, the music had changed in the mid-70s. Seriously, the corporate side of things started to really take over and manipulate and control.
Yeah.
And even the punk thing is where those young punk bands, a lot of them were ripped off badly, badly. And the rock stuff had really mutated very badly. From my side of it in the 60s, bands like Led Zeppelin, um, and bands like um, your memories going here, Fleetwood Mac,
Yeah.
uh, Rory Gallagher. These were all bands that had players, had great players in the band that you want to see,
Mm-hmm.
guitar players, singers, drummers, whatever.
Yeah.
They were brilliant, but this started mutating.
Right.
And to me, bands like, uh, to me, the worst of it was
Yeah.
Sweet, not Sweet, Kiss,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
American.
Yeah.
Then it became a circus.
Yes. Yes, it
And
did.
it was becoming a circus, a bad circus, but that
Uh-huh.
really did. It became a circus of clowns only,
Right.
and no high wire act, no lion tamers, just clowns.
This clown. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never ever liked them.
Yeah.
And the way they dressed, the way they carried on, it was no longer rock and roll.
Right. Right. Right.
Because what attracted us to rock and roll was the whole thing, and the music, and the players, and the person, the
Yeah.
people,
Right.
you know. So
Exactly.
to me, that's when it all started really dying out very, very fast.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the punk thing was a blessing when that came along, because they were
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. They were just young kids.
Yeah.
They only
And that was
learned to play three chords, and they did the
right.
best they could with it.
DIY. It was a DIY era, you know.
Yeah, everyone. But it
Anybody
was
and everybody could
good for me
play.
because I moved more into session work. There were
Yeah.
so many studios,
Right. Right.
independent studios.
Yeah.
Oh, dozens
God.
and dozens in London, and so we got a lot of session work from
Yeah.
young guys that couldn't really play very well.
Yeah.
Um,
You mentioned
so
you mentioned you mentioned Rory Gallagher. I
yeah,
enjoy his early with taste. I enjoy that material.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Really, really quality stuff.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
well,
I speak to John Wilson quite a lot. On on Facebook.
oh, okay.
He's yeah, he's been battling now for the last few years with cancer. So, but
Okay.
yeah, we went to Russia uh, when John Wilson's Taste
Yeah.
uh, were doing gigs. After Rory passed away,
Yeah.
um, John Wilson went out to John Wilson and Charlie McCracken. That was the drums and bass from
Yeah.
Taste.
Yes, right.
So we went off to
Right.
Moscow together. I was playing support for them.
Yeah.
You know,
How
but
was that?
I've seen Rory a few times. You know,
Yeah.
in London, he did the Marquee quite a lot. Marquee
Uh,
Club in
yeah.
London, and Rory was nice. He came to a couple of Lonnie Donegan gigs.
Uh-huh.
We were playing, and we'd had a beer or two there. But he was like, he got a bit despondent, and I say the mid 80s,
Hmm.
because things were really truly changing musically with electronics,
Yeah.
electronic drum kits, electronic keyboards, and it was you didn't have to be particularly good
Yeah.
or a master of your instrument. All you
Right.
needed was the right finger on the right button,
A program.
and
Yeah.
programming and things
Yeah.
changed a lot, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, with that, and the visual thing,
Hmm.
changing the people were dressing up badly as clowns with makeup, whatever. Some it was okay, some was over the top,
Uh-huh.
but some were just using that really to further themselves rather than the music content
Right.
itself.
Right.
So you know, for me, it was the 60s and 70s was the real
Yeah.
rock era, and it's
Yeah.
like everything.
Oh,
Everything comes to an end sometime.
yeah.
It
Well,
started, so it comes to an end.
well,
You know, some
yeah.
people.
The late '60s, early '70s. That's why so many of these interviews I do are with musicians that were had their heyday during that
Mm,
period. You know,
we didn't.
I mean,
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah,
that is to me
we didn't.
that's the
We didn't have
great.
mobile phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have 30 or 40 channels on TV.
Right.
We had
Right.
like two channels on TV. It was
Right.
over by 11 o'clock at night.
Uh,
That's it.
uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So uh, we
Oh,
actually went out. We
yeah.
went to gigs early.
Yes. Yes.
We spoke to each other. We communicated.
Right.
So,
That
yeah,
was the thing back then. And how cheap they were, to go. How I mean, now
yeah,
it's cost an arm and a leg, or you have to take out a loan to go to a concert,
yeah,
But yeah, but it
yeah,
was also you appreciated it more, I think, even with the searching for vinyl. There wasn't the internet, so you had to go to a record store, and buy it. You had to listen to it, maybe before you bought it, and then to get it home and unwrap it and read the liner notes, it
absolutely.
was special. It was special, and
Yes.
now everything's at our fingertips. We're so spoiled. It's like, you know, it kind of takes away
Oh,
from it.
well, yes, there's no anticipation. When you
Right.
got your record, you had a little black thing with a bit of
Yeah.
velvet cloth around it, and you cleaned it as the
Yeah.
record's going round.
Yeah.
You cleaned it as it's going round,
That's
and
right.
you just always check got your album, always check your album, look at
Yeah.
it sideways, not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you had that anticipation.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
There it is.
yeah, that's right.
I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you bought your album, you had this anticipation,
Right.
you know,
Very much
as
so. Yeah.
well. So
Very
when you
much.
put your record on, you listen to it, and I listened to every note. The guitar
Right.
player played everything that's anybody's song.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you listen to everything. But I can get into my daughter's car, and she's got a little thing this size. She
Uh-huh.
plugs in. She doesn't buy any records or CDs. She
No.
plugs this little tiny thing in, and she
Mm-hmm.
tells me it's got um, 20,000 songs on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I say to my daughter, "You're never going to hear them, even if you live to be 200 years old. You're not going
No.
to. You're never going to hear them." But the
Yeah.
live gigs are changing now. Live
Yeah.
gigs. Well, here in Ireland,
Uh-huh.
they're getting more. Younger people are getting in more into the sort of minimalistic playing, minimalistic bands.
Yeah.
My son's got a very popular band called
Yeah.
Alfie. He only has three of them. My
Yeah.
son plays five-string banjo, but he plays the American clawhammer style.
Yeah.
And the young girl plays a harp. She's a genius. And the other lad plays Irish pipes.
Okay.
And that's three instruments you would not normally put together, but they've come together and they've created their own sound. And they do very, very well. And they're fantastic.
Well, couple of other things I wanted to ask you about was the Poor Mouth. You led that band.
Yeah.
And in the album 1990 Gale Force, who else
Yeah.
was in that? Who else was in that band?
Well, the original band was myself, two guys, one called Phil and Brian, and Tommy. Sorry, Phil and Tommy. Played bass and second guitar. I played lead guitar and did all the writing and fronted the band. And our drummer was Clive Bunker.
Okay.
Clive, I don't know if you Clive was for a long time drummer with Jethro Tull.
Yeah, I was going to say Jethro Tull. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
So they would have been in the band just before the album was released. The band broke up.
Okay.
Band disintegrated, and there was a bit of animosity there as well because I didn't want it to break up because I thought I put so much work into it. I'd written so much stuff, and it was some stupid arguments and reasons, absolutely beyond me. It just collapsed and broke up. And I said, well, I'm not going to pack it in. I'll just reform it with the new band. So I did. People didn't like that because it looks like I threw everybody out, or they threw me out, and I'm starting a new band. It just broke up. They weren't interested in doing anything. I was. So I got some other guys. I had written the material, and I started putting the tracks down, the bases of the tracks. And then I got guys in, Howard Tibble on drums, and a few other guys that I know to help me out with the songs. And that became the Poor Mouth, the album Gale Force.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, that was a cottage industry where we just sold the albums and gigs, and I sold thousands.
Okay.
I got a better deal than if I had joined a company.
Yeah.
And I still own it.
Okay.
And I still sell that on iTunes.
Okay.
Not a fortune, a few bucks every now and again.
Right. Right.
And that's basically the story of the Poor Mouth.
Poor Mouth.
And I did that for that album. And I think I did another one. I think we did a cassette. Don't know why, it was a live thing. Again, that was Poor Mouth. But I changed then just to use my own name. That was the point. So I used my own name.
Right.
And I did a few albums, since then. Bad Day at Black Rock was an album I did very well on the internet sales.
Yeah.
And you do a festival, you bring boxes of CDs with you, and they sell them for you.
So you have a pretty good following then,
Yeah. Not too bad. Not too bad. I mean, when you think about a man in his 70s, I've been booked 2 festivals coming up this next year already.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
Well, go ahead and plug those. Go ahead and plug those. When will those festivals be?
Yeah, well, the one I'm waiting to hear from, there's actually a few I'm waiting to hear back from. But there's one that's pretty good. It's called the New Day Festival.
Okay.
And that's in August, I think. Yeah, August. But you'll see all this. We'll be putting up notices on Facebook and stuff for the festivals.
Okay. Okay. Well, one other band I wanted to ask about, the Regular Gas Band. Is that different than your own backing band?
That Regular Gas Band again was just a local band from where I live. I did a few things around. Nothing really special. And after that, basically, after that I stopped because I think the COVID thing started to come in. I think, wasn't it? That put an end to a lot of stuff, you know. And I thought I'm not gonna write again. But then I discovered that I had a few songs that I'm never going to get see the light of day, and I
Mm-hmm.
could be long gone, and these songs will disappear.
Yeah.
So so I thought I'll just put these down and write a couple more new ones, put them down in an album, so that it'll be there for posterity. And basically called the Cherryvale. I live in a place called Cherryvale,
All right.
and the
Right.
Cherryvale, yeah, the Cherryvale Files were all my old songs, and I wrote a few more to put on the album, and the new ones I wrote were I thought were better than the old ones. But
Is
hey,
there?
they're all on there anyway. That was the idea for it. And I'm here. I've still got new songs coming up all the time. Wondering what to do with them.
What or where is Cherryvale?
Cherryville's in Dundalk, where I live.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I live.
Location.
Um,
Okay.
and it's just the title of an album.
All right. Well, I wanted to ask you briefly about your memoir, Sideman. How long did it take you to put all that together, or how long had you been working on it?
That took me about 2.5 years to write.
Okay.
Uh, I could have done. I did it. I have never written anything like that before.
Yeah.
But I wrote it here when my kids were doing their university courses. There was always somebody running around the house, so I had a lot of interruptions. That's
Okay.
why it took so long.
Yeah.
It also took so long because of my spelling's pretty bad, but I do have spell check, and I didn't have an editor. So my brother Brendan lived next door to a woman who he knew. She was an editor, a professional editor.
Oh,
She had
okay.
edited a lot of autobiographies, like including Roger Moore,
Oh,
from
007. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Hmm.
007. She uh,
Yeah.
she edited his book for him,
Is that right?
and she, my brother asked would she have like so. I said yeah. So I gave my brother a book, and she got on to the phone to me and says, "This is just amazing." She said, "This is just very good, seriously very good." She'll edit some of it for me, but I wouldn't change much.
Yeah.
Just get the spelling right. The book itself is great. And I thought, well, thank you very much.
Yeah. That had to make you feel good. Yeah, to hear that from an editor. Yeah.
So she made. I think I've got her down the can't read that the other glasses, but I've mentioned her a bit. Thanks in the book.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
oh yeah, she liked it. So that was great.
Yeah.
And then I phoned around. I asked a few publishers, not interested. One guy said I could be interested if I called it My Life with Van Morrison or something like that and
Oh,
used another
yeah.
name. And I said, no way,
No, no,
not in a million years. I
no.
don't, I don't even want to mention him in the book, but I couldn't get away with not.
Yeah.
But it says it's a good 2.5 years
Yeah.
hard work,
Right.
but yeah, it was pretty hard going, but I'm glad everybody likes it. It's done so well. It's done
Yeah.
really so well.
You got some good reaction to that. And
Yeah.
what about the photos in the book? Had you been keeping those, or you were able to access
The
those pictures?
photos in this book, um, a lot of them I have, I own. Some of them I own, our friends own,
Okay.
but there's one or two I had to take down off the internet and
Yeah.
say nothing
Yeah.
and say nothing because I did a bit of research. Even if the photograph is a personal photograph of me, I
Yeah.
still don't have any right to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The person who took the photographs got right, which is
Yeah.
to me is No.
Kind of backwards or wrong anyway.
And I don't like it, it's what the internet's done. It's what we've done to ourselves, internet. Now it's companies like Alamy that own all the pictures in the world.
Right, right. Yeah.
I don't know how they own them, but they own them.
Yeah. You know, we've, as a society, Western society, we've become too legalistic in everything, you know. Everybody owns, like you said, and there's copyright issues. And what happened to public domain, you know? I mean, I think the musicians, if they had a say, they would say, hey, this is for the public consumption.
Yeah.
You know, not the record companies, not the.
I know. Like I've listened to those posts that people like Joe Walsh put up, and they're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It took a while, but the old corporates have moved in,
Yeah.
and they've bought the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker. They
Yeah.
own the lot, and it's over. We just have to accept the fact that it's over until we find something else, and then they'll go after that.
Yeah.
But this is not going to happen again.
No, no.
It's already been bought up.
Yeah.
You know, all those labels bought up by Sony.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I got a bit of royalty from that film that my song was used in. Sony got half of it.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
For nothing.
For nothing. For nothing.
For nothing. For absolutely nothing. They didn't do anything just because they own it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're allowed to own it and make money out of it, but do nothing. To me, there's got to be somewhere along the line a loophole that you can't make money unless you work for it. There's got to be, or you put something into it, into it.
100%. I agree with you on that. And I don't know.
Because then the film company will go, I want to use this song. Right, okay. Who is it? I don't know. Who's the publisher? Them. They ring the publisher. We want to use this song you have. And the publisher will say, well, what song? I never heard of it. Let me have a look. Go through all his files. And he finds it. Okay, you can have that. Okay, I'll have 50%. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So they actually don't do anything.
No.
They don't work for it. They don't go out and promote you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's got to be a law somewhere changed because we are shooting ourselves in the foot here.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Music should be for the musicians and the fans, not take it out of the hands of the corporate types. It should be for the musicians and the fans.
It should be ever. Joe Bonamassa put up Joe Bonamassa, guitar player. Yeah. He put up one as well. He says he knows someone, but they had one of these and it's something like 50 million hits.
Yeah, yeah.
50 million hits, and he got a check for $150.
Exactly. You know, that's just
where is all the rest of the money gone?
Highway robbery.
And these companies use your music to use advertising companies.
Right.
For them to use you.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what work that one out. Weird.
Yeah.
But,
right.
It's got to change, but I can't see it changing in our lifetime. It'll be.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It'll be down the road somewhere. Well, real quickly, how long have you and Rod Demick been playing live together?
We only did about 3 gigs.
Okay.
But I've known Rod all my life. You know.
Yeah.
We did things before in bands. You know. Yeah. Rod actually came with me to France with a Permouth. Way back with a Permouth. So we've done a few things. I'm gonna go over to him now in a few weeks. We have a gig in a place called Ulverston, which is in north of England in the Lake District. It's a concert, you know. So we have that, and we got 1 or 2 festivals coming up, and it could be a couple more gigs back in that. Just at our leisure type of thing, we'll do them.
Yeah. You want to real quickly about the new album?
It's going to be a mixture of some old songs. We like, for instance, we discussed doing. We both originally old bluesers.
Okay.
I don't really want to go and do bloody blues album, and again, like
Yeah.
everyone else has done.
Yeah.
I want to
Right.
do something. I want something different. So I wrote a lyric. I wrote a lyric for him to write the music to. It's a
Okay.
blues tune, but slightly different blues. So it's kind of a jazzy blues thing that he's written. And the song's called I Woke Up This Morning. And it's a parody on all blues singing, blues song starting off with I Woke Up This Morning.
Uh-huh.
But this one, the title is called I Woke Up This Morning. And it's about, and also the blues stories are usually the guy being the bad guy. The guy is out drinking. He comes back home and he beats his wife, or the wife leaves and he's begging her to come home because he's got the blues. And he woke up this morning aching in his head from drinking or whatever. But this is a different one. This is about the woman that wanted to murder her husband.
Okay.
You know, right. So the lyric is basically goes, she puts arsenic in my coffee. She put cyanide in my tea. She poured gasoline in my front door. I guess she doesn't love me anymore. So it's a bit of a thing, whatever. And it's all this stuff what she's doing. Like she's cut the brakes in the car, you know, and this kind of thing. But the good thing is, I woke up this morning. That's the chorus. But I woke up this morning and I feel it's good. You know, she upped my life insurance, and then my premiums are high.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to be a millionaire the very day that I die. You know, and it's all this kind of stuff. She came at me with a baseball bat. She shot me with a gun, whatever. But he falls out the window and kills himself. But I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
And that's the blues song. So it's
Ah.
slightly different. So
I
it's a
like
parody.
that. Yeah, it
It's
is
a
a parody.
parody on that. So I wrote that one. I've got a few others as well for rewritten. I wanted to do something about getting something back what we put into the blues. So I thought, what about we've done a version of I Got My Mojo and We're Working, but we've done it all in a minor key instead of the major key.
That'll be
And
interesting.
it sounds a bit like Doc Watson doing I Got My Mojo Working, you know? And it's the short thing of it. And there's a few new songs in there as well. But it's a bit of a fun thing we're doing.
Oh, it sounds like it. Like
So
you're having a good time with that. But I appreciate it, and
yeah,
I'll send you a link once I get it edited a little bit, and then you can post it or do whatever you want to with it, and
yeah.
let everybody know.
They say
Do
what
that.
happens. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, all the best to you. Okay, Jackie.
All the best to you. Take care.
Okay.